Never let anybody see you sweat. So I was born in New York City, and I lived there until I was 8 years old. I realized that I was a much better talker than I was a listener. I don't know what to say, I just don't like what you're saying.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I ended up going to law school at Georgetown, and I was a prosecutor for Janet Reno. I loved it because it was so raw. Were you cheating on her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All rise.
Our show will be a mixture of education, I think you're misreading the law a little bit, and entertainment. My main goal is justice and the law. That's been my legacy, and the legacy I hope to continue into the future with the show.
Emily Smith claims she was left with a bill after her friend started an apartment fire that triggered the sprinklers. Parker Cruz says management is at fault for sending a worker who couldn't shut off the system.
Okay, Ms. Smith, you are suing Ms. Cruz for $5,405 in property damage to your apartment that she caused. Tell me what happened.
Yes, so Miss Cruz, Parker, moved into my apartment in around August. My lease was ending in November and hers was ending in August, so she moved in shortly after that. She was heating up some oil on the stove, which she left unattended, and it caught fire, which caused fire damage.
Were you home at the time?
No, I was not.
She was the only person who was home?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
I was home. Emily had left some oil on the stove earlier before she left, and so I was reheating the oil so I could make some chicken.
Why?
It was still clean. It was still clean, and so I didn't want to waste the oil, and so I just was reheating it and walked away for just a second. I went to the restroom.
Why would you? Then why not turn off the fire and wait until you do your business and then come back?
It hadn't gotten hot yet, and so I just took
That turned out not to be right.
Yeah, I took a quick second just to go to the restroom and...
Did you check your texts? Did you go on TikTok?
I maybe checked a text.
Did you Instagram?
I maybe checked my social media.
And when you come back, what happens?
Well, I was alerted by the fire alarms that there was an issue, and so I exited the bathroom immediately.
Had you forgotten that you had put the thing on the fire?
No, I just didn't think I was gone for that long.
How long do you say you were gone?
I would say I was gone for about 2 minutes or less.
Then it wasn't clean oil. Something ignited in there, right?
Yeah, there must have been something in there, but from my initial look, it had looked clean, and so I figured it was just
how
from
high
earlier.
did you put the heat?
Medium high, nothing crazy. I was thinking it would probably be around 400.
How often do you put grease on fire and go on a fire and go do other stuff? How often have you done that?
Not ever. But that night, I just thought
I think
that
you were
it would
probably
be a
gone
big
longer
deal.
than you think you were. And then you get back there and you hear the alarm going.
Yeah, I hear the alarm.
And you say, ah!
Yeah, big problem.
And then you run over there, and what do you see?
So I open up the bathroom door and I see some smoke already, and I see the kitchen. It's got a fire on the stove with the oil, and oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. And the alarm is going off, and the sprinkler just started, and oh my gosh, I'm panicking. And so I call 911. And the fire department arrives. I call
Did you do
Emily.
anything to contain the actual fire?
I didn't want to get too close because the sprinklers were going off, and I figured grease, water, not necessarily a great combination. So the sprinklers put out the fire so that I didn't have to touch it. I ended up moving the pot later, but I didn't touch any sort of fire with the oil.
Who did you call when it happened?
I called 911 immediately, and then I called Emily to get the number for the maintenance man so that they could.
How did Emily
handle the
react?
rest. Well, I didn't tell her off the bat because I didn't want to concern her, and I wanted to handle the situation.
She was out of town?
She was.
In the middle of the night, too. It was like 12:30 a.m., so
Yeah.
I was asleep.
Okay.
Yeah, it
so
was
you just
late.
said, I need the number of the maintenance guy, because what?
I
I'm
called
lonely?
in a panic. I just said I needed the number for the maintenance man.
And she didn't say why?
She didn't say
and
why
you didn't
until
ask
later.
Why?
I was groggy and asleep, so I was
but
just
you
like,
got the
here's...
number, so you're not that asleep.
I was a little concerned, definitely, but I gave her the number of the maintenance man.
You didn't
and
say
then,
why? What happened? It's your apartment, really. She just moved in, and she's sleeping where?
She was sleeping on an
the
air
living room.
mattress in
On
the living
what?
room. On an air mattress in
On
the
an
living
air
room.
mattress, because you guys are making time until your lease is over, and the idea is that you're going to move in together, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
No.
But all right, so now you are You get the number for the maintenance guy.
Yes.
You call the maintenance guy.
Yes.
And what happens?
So it takes him at least 10 minutes to get to me, and in that time, the sprinklers are still going. The fire department had already cleared the situation.
Cleared the situation?
Well, they cleared the fact that there was no existing fire when they arrived.
Yeah, they weren't concerned
But the
about
sprinklers are still going?
Sprinklers are still going. Fire department is not being helpful with the sprinkler situation.
Well, they don't know how to turn. It's the maintenance guy who needs to turn it off.
I was told to call maintenance, and then, well, I called maintenance already, and they
maintenance
waited.
came.
Yeah.
And what happened?
He was new and didn't know where the sprinkler shut-off valve room was. And I thought that was pretty crazy. And so for about an hour, he wasn't able to turn them off. He was looking for keys. He was trying to call different people. No one was answering. It's 12:30 in the morning. I mean, it was an absolute disaster.
One would think that one of the first things you would tell new guy
Yeah.
is this. Because this is one of the only things you can't recover from.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
How they can just look you in the eye and say, no, tough sub, too bad. No, they're not right. You shouldn't be a pushover. You should push back on that.
Chickened out,
So
Your Honor.
stop talking about, it's your fault the fire happened. You're very flippant about it.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the dispute between Emily Smith, who blames Parker Cruz for water damage to her apartment.
Is there any dispute that, so how long did you say it was going?
An hour.
Okay,
And some
is there
change.
any dispute about that the water was going for an hour?
Yeah, it is true that it was going for about an hour.
And the landlord does not dispute that?
No. But the landlord does like to say that it was my fault. So I did get the full bill for $5,405, even though I was away and I did not cause the fire.
She did not cause the fire. She was away, and the fire had gone out by the time the maintenance man had arrived, and everything would have been okay. We would have had
everything wouldn't have been okay because it was raining in the apartment, so everything wouldn't have been okay. There would have been damage, maybe not the amount of damage, but
Rain
there
for
would
an
have been
hour
damage.
versus rain for 5 minutes, that's a pretty big difference. A little sprinkle versus
Well, it's not a
torrential
little sprinkle.
downpour.
No, but it is a torrential. Have you ever had that happen? First of all, you were there, so
I was there.
Right. The idea is to stop a fire, so
Yes.
it's not a tinkle here and a tinkle there. It's severe.
It was water.
But so let's see what happens here. The leasing company incident report. Due to difficulty locating the sprinkler shutoff valve, water continued flowing for an extended period, resulting in damage. So tell me what you tell the leasing office.
Yeah, so I told them that, of course, it took an hour to shut off the sprinklers, but they kept pushing back on me saying, like, I'm responsible for the damage, that Parker set off the fire.
Okay, they're right. They're contractual privity of contract, it's called in the law. Who do they have a contract with? They have privity with you, not with her. She's your invitee that you let in the house. She's not on the lease. You're going to be responsible for the damage that occurs. But it's only the damage that occurs as a result of her negligence.
Yes.
It's not going to be damage that occurs because they don't train their people properly, and their people report and then spend an hour, like Mo, Curly, and Larry, looking for how to shut off the water. So a portion of this is their fault. The question is what portion. But, you know, it's how they can just look you in the eye and say, no, tough sub, too bad. No, they're not right. You shouldn't be a pushover. You should push back on that.
Chickened out.
So
Yeah.
stop talking about, it's your fault the fire happened. You're very flippant about it. All right? So now in fact, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's see the text. Let's see the text.
Let's see the text.
You say, hey, I got the invoice from the leasing office today. Since I'm the one on the lease and I don't have renter's insurance, why didn't you have renter's insurance? Nobody has it.
It wasn't
Everybody
required.
thinks they're not going to need it till they need it.
I have
All
renter's
right.
insurance.
Do you?
I do.
Did your renter's insurance cover your incompetence and negligence at leaving a fire alone and getting on your cell phone?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever make a claim on it? Oh, maybe you should. After I rule, since I'm the only one on the lease and I don't have renter's insurance, they charge me the full amount and I have to pay for it. It's $5,405. I know this whole situation sucked, but I was hoping if I pay half, you'd be willing to cover the other half.
Yeah.
so we can move on.
So yeah, initially I did
God
ask.
bless you. So you were willing to pay half?
Yeah, I mean, it is my apartment, and I wanted to be nice because she is my friend.
You're responsible vis-a-vis the landlord, but you're not responsible vis-a-vis her. What did you do wrong? All right, so go on. So you offer to pay half?
Yeah, but she thinks that because it's my apartment, she was causing the damage, but because it is my apartment and she is my friend, we do work together. I was gonna have to see her later.
You still have to see her.
We
Okay.
still
I
work
don't
together.
get why we should pay anything.
Correct.
Really?
Yes.
You don't get why you should pay anything?
No. They took over an hour.
I'm sorry,
At the
stop.
very least, the fire did.
Stop. Let's assume they got there and they immediately turned off the water.
I think it would have been a significant reduce in damage.
Oh, but you do see how you have to pay something. Because you said, I don't see why we should pay anything.
But see, now we're not talking about the actual situation at hand. We're talking about a what-if scenario.
No, we're not. We're talking about isolating how much of it's your fault and how much of it was exacerbated by the company not knowing how to turn off the water. Why is your response, I don't get why we should pay anything? Why is your response not, I'll go with you to talk to them. You know, we should really negotiate this. We definitely have responsibility. Oh, for heaven's sake, no, you're not going to pay half. I'm the one who walked away from grease on fire. I'm the one who got sidetracked with my phone. You are going to let me talk with you with them and try to see if there's some... Why isn't that your response? I don't get why we should pay anything when the damage was mostly because the maintenance man couldn't find the shut-off switch for an hour. Like a whole hour. I'm sorry, but that's not my fault. No, that part's not your fault.
Yes.
But how is nothing your fault?
Okay, so had things just, the sprinklers shut off, all the things, had it gone, the way that it should have gone?
10 minutes of sprinklers. What damage do you think there is after 10 minutes of sprinklers? Zero?
A fair amount of damage.
I don't think zero, but it wasn't all her things that got damaged.
Right, so why isn't that what you say? Because your attitude really stunk.
Coming up.
You should be embarrassed. You have admitted that you put it on, or you walked away, and then you just, I was on my phone, and yes, and girls will be girls. No.
You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with a dispute between Emily Smith, who blames Parker Cruz for water damage to her apartment.
Your attitude is, I don't get why we should pay anything. The damage was mostly them. And then stop. And this is after she offers to pay half, which is stunning to me. I understand that, but I'm the one being billed, and it's going to affect my credit. I'm just trying to be fair here and not have all this land on me. To which you respond, but if maintenance had done their job, this wouldn't even be an issue. Yeah, it would be an issue. Then you finally click in and say, actually, there wouldn't be an issue if you hadn't caused one to begin with. Like, how do you even catch a pot of oil on fire? You understand that it's your fault you started things. The only issue is how much of it was exacerbated by the maintenance man not knowing how to turn it off. And I'm the one who's going to be the judge of that. But when you got to be the judge of that, when you are not having a judge inspect what you're saying, when no one's watching you, to me, the true measure of a human is obedience to the unenforceable. And what that means is, how do you react when you think no one's watching? And in this text, when you thought no one was watching, when you did not know that it would come out in a court of law, in front of a courtroom full of people, on national television, no less, your answer is not, heavens, Emily, none of this is your fault. I'll pay all of it, but let's talk to them because a lot of it is their fault. Your answer is a saucy, I don't see why we have to pay anything. That's your answer. That is horrifying to me. You should be embarrassed. You have admitted that you put it on, or you walked away, and then you just, I was on my phone, and yes, and girls will be girls. No.
Coming up.
But it's her apartment, and they still wanted to have another lease with her after this. So
and
she
what?
stayed.
And so they'd eat the $5,000? Do you know anything about commerce?
You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with a dispute between Emily Smith, who blames Parker Cruz for water damage to her apartment.
She does have a point when she says that it's not all her fault. And you're the guy who has to fight it with them So in other words, what happens in court is she is liable for the damages that she caused. I'm going to end up having, in the very unenviable position of having to decide, like, you know, how, but I will. What portion is her fault and what portion is the handyman's fault or the building's fault for not training their handyman appropriately? But you need to go back and you need to fight them on the excess.
Yes. Sorry.
And what are you going to do, Parker?
I would help her with any of the process. I offered to make
Is that what you
this-
meant when you said, I don't see why we should pay anything?
That's what I meant. It's a text message, so it's flippant, and it's...
I don't see why we should pay anything.
Sounds like
Means
you're going
zero.
back on your word.
Did she
I'm not
ever?
going
Did she
back
ever
on my
offer to pay anything?
No, I had to ask.
There was never a offer. So exactly when did you offer to pay something?
I didn't offer to pay anything.
You just thought it in your head?
No, because the situation exacerbated, and so then it became in their hands. And so I thought that we could get the entire thing reduced.
But they
The
didn't.
entire thing reduced how? You caused a fire. What is wrong with you?
The leasing company would definitely not let
No, they
that
not say, oh, it's
slide.
all on us. Don't worry.
Yeah, but
No.
then
Did
they
you really
still,
think they'd say that?
They still wanted her to have an apartment, so I don't understand if they really didn't
So
think
you
that they
thought
were
you
at
would
fault.
be the benefit? Are you out of your mind? Do you hear yourself?
Yes.
You caused a fire. If it was your apartment, do you think the leasing office would say, oh, don't worry about it, we'll cover it?
But it's her apartment, and they still wanted to have another lease with her after this. So
and
she
what?
stayed.
And so they'd eat the $5,000? Do you know anything about commerce?
Judge Milian's verdict when Justice for the People returns. You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian.
And now the apartment is, how much of your stuff was ruined?
Not a lot of her
I'm not asking you. You living on an air mattress. How much of your stuff was ruined?
I mean, certainly everything upholstered in the living room.
She needed
Couch,
my help.
rug.
I wouldn't have
Can you
told
be
her
less
things.
flippant? Because I'm finding it hard to stay on the bench with how flippant you are. You're very flippant about having
Yes, Your
caused
Honor.
this. Then it's raining in her apartment, and your answer is we shouldn't pay anything because the maintenance man took too long to turn off the water. I am ordering you to pay $3,405 of the damage. I feel, and I'm going to give you a written order to bring back to the leasing company, that their failure to turn it off in less than an hour, which is outrageous, caused the remaining $2,000 of the problem. Okay? And you shouldn't end up paying any of this. And in fact, if you've got renter's insurance, you should pass it on to them. We'll see if she really has renter's insurance. That's my verdict.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $3,405.
Don't reheat oil and leave it unattended.
Stand up for yourself, girl.
Exit this way, please. Make sure you grab all of your belongings.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.